Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I am the Adrenal Fatigue Recovery Ninja, and I want to welcome you back to your next lesson in metabolic flexibility. Today we're going to be talking about insulin, and what you don't know about it could kill you, or what you know about it is keeping you metabolically inflexible, and what you don't know about your glucose is not allowing you to recover from your adrenal fatigue nightmare, from your thyroid nightmare, from your hormones and having to be on synthetics or bioidentical nightmare, or from you not having energy and not being able to sleep and not being able to focus and not being able to concentrate and having anxiety and crashing in the middle of the day and not dealing with stressors very well. You need to know about this. So I'm going to give you a little lesson. This is not about my thoughts or my impressions. This is straight out of peer-reviewed journals. This is under British Journal of Anesthesiology. If you want to look at it yourself, go right ahead. I'll include it in the link here. But basically, it was the British Journal Anesthesiology, version 85, edition 1, page 69 to 79 in the year 2000. So let's give you a little intro on why this paper is so important. Sir Edward Schaefer, he was a professor of physiology in Scotland, in good old Scotland. My soccer coach was Scottish, and he used to tell me, "Hey son, that's a terrible play, come on off, have a seat at the end of the bench." Anyways, I don't know if Edward Schaefer talked about that, but he had a book that he published as a result of his professor lectures, and basically he came up with this hypothetical substance that he later called something, which I'll let you know in the next edition. But basically, he was the one that first discovered this substance, which really became kind of uncanny because it was so similar to what insulin was later learned about. But here's the thing: Banting, 8 years later, actually discovered insulin, and then 50 years after that, in 1967. George Stever discovered pro-insulin. But here's the thing, here's the lesson I want you to learn. They did research in the 60s and 70s and 80s on mice, and the conclusions they made on mice has caused the black age of endocrinology. And I'm going to explain exactly what that is. What they discovered was that mice, when they gave them this insulin, what happened was it helped get glucose out of the bloodstream into the cell. But the thing was, glucose didn't exclusively 100% need to have insulin to help get it into the cell. It didn't. Believe it or not, it could get into itself. And we'll talk about that, and that's a major problem. And what happened was, as a result, and they even say it in here, I'm going to read it to you. The effects of this black age are still with us, with this incorrect hypothesis. With the passage of time, has been turned into dogma and has become into tablets of stone in undergraduate textbooks. They are taught in postgraduate teachings, and they're also thought about as this: the basic action of insulin is to facilitate entry into cells, primarily glucose's entry into the cell, primarily skeletal muscle and the hepatocytes. That doesn't mean it's only the way to get glucose into the cells. And that's going to become very, very important, because glucose has two things. It helps stimulate and it helps inhibit. It helps stimulate and it helps inhibit. So it's the helping inhibit that's the most important point. And you think it's the stimulating. And you think that if I don't have glucose, it's not stimulating if I don't have insulin, it's not stimulating the glucose getting out of the cell. And that's why there's high glucose levels. That's not true. It is true to an extent, but the bigger problem is if it's not inhibiting. If it's not inhibiting, your glucose levels are going to continue to rise. And that's a very important lesson, because that's the reason why you're metabolically inflexible. So stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it.